All right, everybody, I think we're going to get going if it's okay with you guys. We might have a few more people kind of sneaking in, so I figured maybe the first couple of minutes, give you guys a quick introduction to kind of who I am and why I'm here, and then open it up to you guys just to give me a little bit of what you're looking to gather before I just jump in and start teaching social media marketing. How many of you were here 2 years ago when I was here before? Anybody with hands? Okay, a few of you. Okay, good. So I think this is my second or third year at PRI. Last year I was supposed to be here as the first session I've ever missed in my entire 8-year speaking career because due to a half an inch of snow in Atlanta that shut us down completely. But my buddy Jay Bear was able to come in and step in for me and do it for me. But I apologize to any of you who are hoping to see me, but hopefully you're back. I've been doing this for, like I said, 7-8 years. I own a digital marketing agency, so everything I talk about on stage, my team and I test with other businesses and such, so we know kind of what's working and what's not. And yeah, and I got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old at home, and I'm looking forward to seeing later on today. So with that, let me open it up to you guys just for a minute before I jump in. Everything we're going to talk about today is creating content digitally, which to me is the hardest, toughest, biggest challenge in all of digital marketing. Is there any specific questions that you guys came with, make sure I cover, or challenges that you're having or anything like that on social media, digital? Yes, sir.
How do you get people to view your content when you create it and then you get eyeballs?
Right. So the easy part almost is creating it. The hard part is actually getting people to look at it, watch it, view it, see it, share it, comment, like, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay. Good. I will be covering that. Anything else in particular that you came in on? Yes, sir.
Longevity, we create this piece and then all of a sudden it's a blink of the eye and it's gone. We'd like it to stick around and people watch it again and again, but it seems like it's...
Yeah, good point. So in terms of creating digital content, longevity, when you put a social media post out there, just in a blink of an eye, it can be gone, right? And dive down the news feed. So how do we kind of give it longevity, give it legs to keep it going? That, especially if you're producing some really good content, you'd like to see it keep going. Good. Yes, sir. Yeah. So prioritizing platforms, picking the ones that they're going to give you guys the best bang for your buck, and doubling down on that one. So I'm going to help you prioritize the ones I think you guys should be on today as well. So good, you're in the right place. Anybody else? All right, let's jump in, because those are all questions that I'm going to answer. So you guys are in the right place here. As you guys have seen, I brought my book with you. PRI was kind enough to buy a copy for each of you. So if you don't have one already, they're all over the room, and I've got lots of them here, so don't worry about that. As I mentioned to a few of you earlier, I haven't signed them yet. I figure I would earn the right to sign them, so if you want me to sign them afterwards, I'm happy to do so, but if you don't, I guess I'll understand. So just let me know at the end, and I'd be happy to sign it for you. So here we go. So we're going to go through some content creation strategies. So because we're in December 2018, I figured I would give you guys a great start at a plan for 2019 for content creation. So this is my hope for you, is that you leave here today with a strategy for 2019 for creating content. So you leave here with an action plan, okay? So let's get going here. All right, so real quickly, I am obviously on social if you want to kind of connect with me and let me know what you thought about the presentation. If you enjoyed anything, you can shout out a tweet at Corey Perlman or on Facebook at Corey Perlman. That's how you spell my name. And also using the hashtag PRI show so that everybody else can see it. If there's anything negative that you thought about the presentation, go ahead and go to MySpace. That's a great place for you to post that comment. Those of you who know what that is, some of you young people may not know what that is, but feel free to post it there. Also, the number one question I get about my presentation is, can you have my slides? And the answer is yes. So you can text the word slides to 66866. It'll ask you for your email address. Put it in your email address, and then I will email you my slides when I return home to Atlanta. Okay, so the only thing I'll take out of there is like images and such, just to make it not as heavy a file, but all the value will be there. So feel free to sit back, relax, and don't take notes unless you want to. Okay, so when it comes to content, what's the big deal? Well, content's kind of the lifeblood of all digital marketing. Again, we've been doing this for a long time, and the hardest challenge in all of social, email marketing, video marketing is creating not just content, but compelling content. Content that people care about, content that moves the needle, that actually gets people to do something. So it's by far the hardest part. As you guys know, organic reach is at an all-time low on social media, meaning 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, you post a Facebook post on your business page, say you had 100 fans. About 60 or 70 people would see that post right off the bat. Today, if you have 100 fans, how many people on average see that post, would you guys say? Less than 10. Yeah, like 6 or 7 people out of 100 even get a chance to see it, unless you spend some money on Facebook. So it's a much more challenging game than it's ever been before when it comes to getting your content out to the marketplace. It's the new SEO, so a lot of search engine optimization companies and speakers and so on and so forth, they'll tell you that the way to get up the Google rankings nowadays is creating fresh content. Google and the other search engines are looking for fresh content. They're looking for constant, new content about whatever your products and services and opportunities are. So when you guys are creating content, it's actually helping your overall search engine optimization. So that's another kind of benefit to creating compelling content. When I say fish where the fish are, the opportunities on social are different than we've ever seen before. Facebook has over 1 billion users. But to me, that's not the exciting part about Facebook. What's so exciting about that is the stickiness to Facebook. People are going to Facebook on average 10 to 13 times a day. A day. So eyeballs, you asked about eyeballs earlier, they're clearly going to one site in particular all day, every day. The question is how do we get in front of them? So we know where they're going. We just got to figure out how to get in front of them. Okay, and Instagram, very similar. Who owns Instagram? Facebook. So they're sister and brother, right? They work really well together. And social currency, the new currency, if you will, when it comes to businesses is what we call social currency, and that's like your tribe, your followers, your connections, how much influence you guys have on the community. There's a lot you can do in your industry when you have people tied to your brand. Obviously you can sell products and services, you can promote others, you can, really move the needle when you have that built-in tribe. The way to get that built-in tribe is to create thought leadership and create that stickiness with your content. So that's really where, you're investing in getting that social currency from. So it all revolves around the fact that content is king. It always has been, and it always will be. For those of you guys walking in, there are books that are scattered around here. Just don't leave without grabbing a free copy of my book, thanks to PRI. So this is what we're going to go through over the next 40 minutes here or so. Your 2019 content marketing plan. I want you to pick your platforms, so I'll answer your questions, sir, back there. I'm going to challenge you to define your uniqueness. I've got a book coming out in 2019 called Authentically Social, and I'm really big on figuring out what your true identity is on social, whether it be individually or more so brand, and really doubling down on that. Figuring out your daily categories for content, your video strategy, which is going to be a key component to your overall marketing strategy, and then how to get it out across the masses, syndication. So when you create a compelling piece of content, how do you make sure it spreads across the web? Okay, so that's what we're going to go through today. All right, so I challenge you to think about some of these in your business. Oops, sorry. This guy's being a little finicky here. So the first thing is pick your platforms. Don't be a jack of all social media sites, master of none. Instead, pick a few and double down on that. So let me turn it back to you guys for a second. Over the last year or two, where have you seen your marketplace be the most on social? Where are your typical eyeballs? Where is your demographic hanging out online from a social media perspective?
Instagram's probably been the biggest for us.
Okay, so Instagram would be right here as number one. What would be a number two, would you say?
It goes between YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, YouTube and Facebook, he said. So that's an interesting thing there. So you got, Facebook and Instagram being the social platforms, and then YouTube being the video platform, right, to be able to house. So somebody asked about longevity of content. Well, putting your content on YouTube gives you the opportunity to keep that longevity, right? A really good high-quality video that you've created, if you make sure you keep that on your YouTube channel, that's a way to keep it going long term. So great platform for you guys, for sure. Somebody else? How many of you agree with everything he just said by raise of hand? Okay, so see, that's why nobody else said anything, right? So Facebook and Instagram, in my humble opinion, would be your platforms that I would plant your flags on. The reason is Facebook, as I said, in the billions. Your general public is there. If your demographic's a bit younger, say 40 below, 35 below, trending in the millennial area, Instagram's a phenomenal, obviously, environment for you. Some of you might be thinking Snapchat. The average age on Snapchat is age 16 to 23. It's a bit young. It may be your future buyer market, obviously, in 10 years, 5-10 years from now. But right now, today, I would say Facebook and Instagram would be the ones that I would double down on for you guys and at least prioritize lower the rest. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? We can have a dialogue here if you have any specific questions. You good on that? Yep, you're good? Okay. So part of the reason you guys got this book, Social Media Overload, and the reason it's so important to me to have you pick your platforms, I had a gentleman in my audience recently. We were discussing, I think, Instagram, and somebody asked a question about Snapchat. And he made like a sound of frustration that came out of the audience. It was kind of almost like my version of a heckler. It kind of like took me by surprise, and I didn't know what he was freaking out about. And he just sort of made this sound of frustration. So I wanted to kind of emulate it or repeat it today for you, so you kind of understood where I was. So this is what he sounded like when I started talking about Snapchat. So I said to the guy, and this literally did happen, I said, I was like, he's like, I'm sorry, Corey, I didn't mean to, burst out. I said, that's all right, man, like, tell me what's going on. He said, I'm just frustrated, because, just when I feel like I've got Instagram and Facebook down, along comes Snapchat, it's just another one for me to have to, figure out. And I said, well, tell me more about your business. Like, what business are you in? And he said, well, I sell medical supplies to the elderly. And it dawned on me that people don't necessarily realize that the first thing you have to figure out is who your demographic is, who your audience is, where they're hanging out on social, and then meeting them there. So who is your demographic? Who is it? Is it male, female? Do you have a tendency between a male-female tribe on your, what is yours? You're shaking your head. 70% male, 30% female? Okay. About the same, 70-30? Okay, good to know, right? What age group? What's the average age demographic?
Most of ours, I think it's about 50 or 60% falls in the 25 to 30 range.
25 to 30, so trend's a little young, hence Instagram, right? More of a platform. They're kind of a little anti-Facebook, right? Maybe even a little Snapchat, to align on Snapchat maybe a little bit. Don't make that sound, he's got maybe a younger tribe than some of you. Who else? Anybody got a different age demographic for your audience? Yes, sir? 35 to 75, nice wide gap, but that's the Facebook audience, right? I mean, primarily, that's really where we tend to reside very comfortably. That's why there's 1 billion users on Facebook, right? Okay, yes? So you're 40 to 60 trending in that range, but it could be broader if you change your message a little bit. So you may have an audience that you want to get to, which is also good to know, right? Very, very good. And then, what are their interests? What are their likes? What are they passionate about? That type of thing. As you start to think about what your authentically social, what your unique value proposition is on social, what are they passionate about? So let's jump into that now. I really want to encourage you guys to really think about this for a second. What makes you authentically social? I want you to spend a minute or two on this. Those of you who are taking notes, thoughts, Think about this, type it on your phone. But 99% of your problem on social is you have no true identity. You're just posting videos, you're posting pictures, you're putting stuff on there, which is good, but there's no true identity. The ones that make it work are the ones that people come to see because they've got this thing, this identity that they have, right? This thing that they've come to know them for. So as you think about your brand, and some of you may be like, well, I don't know what that is. Well, that's okay. That's why you're here. I want you to start thinking about that. Think about what your culture is. What specifically in your area of expertise, in your performance racing expertise, why do people come to you guys in particular? Not them over there or them over there, but to you guys or to you guys. Why do they come to you? Why would they come look at your page? Is it because you guys, show racing videos all the time, or you're always at racing events? Is it the way that you describe the parts in your car? Do you have, the humor gene that I struggle with, but some other people are really great on? Are you great on camera? Are you super smart and you know like a ton about the industry? And you've got a vocabulary for this? Do you have experience, rich experience of the history of motorsports, that type of thing? What makes you truly unique that you guys can double down on? What about in your community? What do people know about, what are you known for inside your community? Are you guys, socially responsible? Do you constantly, do things out in your community that you need to be heightening or amplifying on social? Obviously, you're a big part of the racing community in your community. Is that a common theme on social? How are you connecting with your tribe? How do you respond to the people who are interested in your brand? Do you guys incentivize them? Do you give out swag? Do you meet them face-to-face in environments? Do you do Facebook Lives with them? How are you connecting with them? And just overall, what's your social identity? If I look through your profile, will I get a sense of who you guys are as a brand? Not just, throwing stuff willy-nilly, but really kind of strategic on who you are as a brand. Does anybody have any thoughts or examples or thoughts about who you are as a brand, what you would essentially amplify on your social that's different than anybody else, just to kind of give us an example? Yes, sir.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
Why did you pick that slide?
Yeah. Why did I pick that slide? Is that you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, there you are. Because I was playing around, obviously doing some research on you guys, and I found you guys as a good example. I wouldn't show you if I was going to try to criticize or embarrass you. So I thought you had a nice example of a good culture on your Facebook page. Could we be better? Sure, right? You're probably thinking that. But I liked all the videos, and it seemed like you had a common theme around your culture there that was very consistent, and that's why I put that on there. But what are some of the thoughts that are going through your mind when you think about your culture, or what makes you guys unique or different than some of the other brands? Yes?
I come from a series, so for us to get more of our fan engagement, we've gone to our drivers during the off-season and done videos individually, and not always specific to their questions, but just trying to get to know them individually and who they are, to increase our fan base so that they can then maybe pick a driver and know what they look like, not just what their car looks like.
I love that. So video series of the drivers, because you're a series, and really kind of understanding sort of behind the hood, or whatever you want to call it, or behind the windshield of who the drivers are. That's great. Consistently too, obviously, is the key there. Are you going live on that? Or are you guys shooting like pre-recorded videos typically?
We started going live initially and then had some issues with some of our feeds. So then we would pre-record and then post, but we also do lives in the pits.
Okay.
On race day.
Okay. Lives in the pit as well. Okay. And we'll talk about the difference between pre-recorded and Facebook Live in just a minute. Anybody else kind of thoughts on that's great, on kind of doubling down on your uniqueness or your culture when it comes to your brand? Any questions on this? Does it make sense to you guys on this and trying to figure that out? Can you see where that would be a benefit as opposed to kind of going willy-nilly and being everywhere, really focusing on who you guys are? What makes you guys unique? What makes you guys cool? What makes people want to come to your page? Facebook is a noisy marketplace, man. It is super noisy. I'm not going to like blow smoke for you guys. If you just go posting stuff randomly, it's hard. But when people start to see like that, they start to expect, they know what to expect on your page and get excited about whatever it is you guys are doing on there. That's what tends to move the needle. Okay, that's what tends to start driving people there. So one of my best practices for you to get there is to create a weekly content calendar and to have the entire business be a part of it. Like you mentioned that, using that example of the drivers, you can't do that alone, right? You got to have your team involved. They got to know that that's happening. Who's going to shoot it? Who's going to edit it? When's it going to be posted? How are we going to, drive it out there? Who knows about the driver and getting their credentials and all that kind of stuff? It's a team effort. So everybody knowing what's happening during the course of your social media content week is really important. So I just gave you guys a random example here of what could potentially be your weekly content calendar around your theme. You've got Motor Monday. That just might be like, a piece of value information around, the products that you offer, whatever the case may be. You can figure that out. Testimonial Tuesday may be a product endorsement or a testimonial from one of your clients or customers. WTF Wednesday is not what you necessarily think it is. It's what to film. What video might you post on Wednesday to remind you of how powerful video is. Track Tip Thursday, Funny Friday, where you insert some humor about the racing industry. You find something unique to share on Saturday, and then race day Sunday. Again, these are just examples, and you don't have to have 7 days of the week. I just did that for you. And then I found this example from one of your sites there, which I thought was good. Which was Terminology Tuesday. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Then every Tuesday there's going to be Terminology Tuesdays. So if that's working for you, and you have a glossary of terms, whatever the case may be, but everybody knows that you got to have that term, and if you're running out of terms, you got to talk to the team. Hey, give me something else we got to figure out, that kind of thing. All right, so everybody's on the same team. That's the best practice there. Your social media marketing person isn't on their own. If you all know it's Testimonial Tuesday, then you're also helping them, by providing content to make sure that they've got a testimonial for every Tuesday of the year. All right, so the businesses that are successful on social are organized with their content. Everybody's a part of the team when it comes to creating the content, and the marketer isn't on their own island. And they're also not flailing and saying, oh, it's Thursday, what should we post? And there's just no category or no organization about it. It's pretty organized, okay? And does anybody do that with a content calendar? You do that? You have like different categories you use and such? Getting there? Okay, good. But is it helpful to have that so you know what you're going to be posting? Okay.
How many times a week should you be posting?
At least daily. Yeah. And the question was, how many times should you be posting? At least daily. And part of that's that whole engagement piece where nobody's seeing your post, sadly. So there's that part of it where just the more times you post, the more chances anyone even has a chance to see it. But you're not going to get in trouble unless you do what I call cluster post, which is to post a bunch of times at one time. But if you're posting once a day, you're not frustrating anybody, I can promise you that. Okay, it's more about if you're posting multiple times at the same moment.
Do you have any recommendations as far as time of the day to post? I've seen some things that usually 10, 11 o'clock is kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah, I get that question all the time on timing, and I would say we like to randomize it. So we'll do Saturday mornings and Sunday evenings, and it depends on the industry, obviously. But what we find, generally speaking, is you'll go out there and you'll see a different statistic for everything. I will say that like business posts that I tend to do, I tell them to do during business hours because people have their business mindset on. But in your world, I would say more, really fluctuate on your timing and test and see what works. And that's a big best practice too, is you can test. You can see which ones gain engagement at the times and then double down on that time slot. Okay, yes?
Just to add on to the time, I kind of noticed a lot of people in our industry look at their social media during like break time.
Break times.
So like
So yeah, yours is a little bit more of like almost like a hobby business. So they're going to kind of do it on their quote unquote off time. I think that makes a lot of sense. You probably would agree, right? Good. Any other questions or comments on the content calendar? It's a huge best practice for you guys to take back with you next year. I would really encourage you to implement this in your brand. Get everybody on the same page. It doesn't have to be these categories, by the way. This was me trying to be in your business for a day, and I know that that's not necessarily accurate, but use it as a guide. You know, make it a goal of yours to have every day a unique category of content that everybody knows about. I promise you, it'll make the job a lot easier for your content marketing. So a best practice around content marketing is obviously video. So I want you to really, in 2019, if you're not already, I want you to double down on video. I want you to really use this as your primary medium of creating content, especially in your industry. It's so powerful. First of all, Facebook and Instagram are becoming a video-first platform. It already is here. And they're saying by 2021, 2022, it'll be predominantly video. You know, it's just moving in that direction. People aren't reading content, the ADD generation, yada, yada, yada. But video's here to stay. It's very powerful. So while it's still a little bit in the early stages of the tidal wave, you know, jump on it now. So what are some examples of potential video you can do? Well, take us on a tour. You know, you guys have some of the coolest products in the world. You don't understand that I have to be in places where they plant seeds for a living, literally physical agricultural seeds in the ground. And I have to help them with video. Like, you know, it's hard, but in your industry, it's easy, it's fun. You guys have so many cool things that you guys can show out there. So take us on a tour, take us with you. When you're at races, when it's race day, go live, show us what's going on behind the scenes. And it's a great opportunity for Facebook Live and Instagram Live. So let's just chat about that for 1 second. The difference between live video and pre-recorded video. So the advantage to Facebook Live and Instagram Live, because you can do them in both places, is that you're going to get more engagement on the video because it's live and they are promoting that platform heavily right now. Have you ever noticed when you're navigating Facebook and all of a sudden there's a little thumbnail that comes on the bottom and it says, Steve Smith is live? It's because those platforms are really trying to push live video right now. So by you going live, it gives you a better chance at that moment to get more engagement than if you were to post anything else. Everybody clear on that? What's the downside to live video? It's live. The common thing I see is somebody like, you know, shooting a live video and then they're like, you know what, let's do it again. That didn't go very well. It's live. You can't do that. You know, it's live. So be aware that it's live video and you got to just go with it. And people don't expect perfection, you know, but, you know, have a plan and, you know, and be yourself, you know, and have some fun with it and know that it's not going to be perfect. But a pre-recorded video can be edited. You know, there's production around it if you want. You know, you can, like I said, edit it and kind of cut it and do those kind of things. And obviously, it can live longer, as we talked about with content where you can put that on YouTube and so on and so forth and give it legs for a longer period of time. Questions about live? Yeah, I'm going to talk about stories in just a second. So stories is I would consider different than live, which I will share in just a second. Yeah, but there are differences. Yes, sir.
So Facebook now has Premiere and Watch Party. Do you have experience in those applications, and what are the advantages and or disadvantages to using those?
Yeah, we're just starting to do some of the watch party things, which is again just kind of gathering more traffic around the videos and such, and we're starting to see a little bit of again, because it's their new feature, and so they're really pushing it. Are you noticing the watch party? Yeah, a lot. So I think from the newness factor that, you know, it's working from an eyeball standpoint. I don't know about an effectiveness standpoint because we're not there yet. I mean, we literally just started doing it about a month ago. So do you have any experience using it so far? Or?
No, but since I saw it, you know, come out, I've kind of been paying attention to other people, and I kind of think it goes along the lines of having a content plan.
Yes.
I feel like if you did, you know, one watch party a week,
Yes.
you know, on a association, so like we would do a race recap or something, you know, every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. That seems to be about the only way that the watch parties are working.
Yes, it's sort of like an episodic type of thing, right?
Yeah, because people will plan, okay, like,
I'm gonna
like just as in
a TV show.
all the time.
Yes, it's like a more organized way for a Facebook Live, you know, essentially, yeah, which would be a watch party. And I think that that's what they're trying to answer. And the funny thing is, and yeah, thank you for asking about that. I'm a big fan of like what I don't even know if it's the right word, but episodic type of videos like that, where each week you're building, you know, we're back at, you know, episode 6 of, you know, and it's because I keep talking about consistency, so that plays right into that consistency factor. So I think that that's really good. So you can do a search for watch party, but it's pretty much of a brand new feature on Facebook that they're kind of, again, you're seeing all these new features are around video and Facebook Live and such. So this is a fun resource that you can use. One of the things that you guys have noticed a lot about video recently is people watch them without sound. You mentioned the hobby. You guys are in the hobby industry a lot, and so people might be at work playing around and such, and so they don't want the sound to come on, so they use subtitles. So this is a really cool resource that I use called Clips. That's the one from the iPhone, and then if you don't have an iPhone, you can go to Subtitle. But watch what this does. As I talk, it literally creates the subtitles for me, and it's extremely accurate. And I hope you guys can see it cut off a little bit of there. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. Hey everyone, it's Corey Perlman with just a quick, cool tip for you for shooting video. So I'm playing with a new tool for me called Clips. It's on your iPhone app, and so this was all happening live. Isn't that impressive? That it just like knows that quickly. Transcriptions, subtitles, whatever you want to call them, right in automatically. This is actually happening. So, yeah.
So it did that while you were live?
Yeah, not live. I was shooting the video on Clips. Yeah, just recording the video. And if it does screw up a word for whatever reason, I can go back in and edit the word, which was really neat. Yes. Not at all. No, and I'm from the South. I got a little bit of a Southern drawl, but it picked it up pretty perfectly. So that was a real powerful little tool there. And again, if you don't have the iPhone, Subtitled seems to be the alternative for Android devices and things of that nature. But subtitles are definitely going to add a lot of engagement to your videos. Hey everyone, it's stories. So you asked. Oh yeah, did you have a quick question? I don't know about that app. If you can do that, but it may not be on Clips that you can do that on. You'll have to check that. You obviously can take videos, and there's tools out there that will create the subtitles for you. But that one may be one that you got to record into the app. There, you'll have to play with that a little bit. So stories, I'm also bullish on for you guys. This is another. So you've got kind of your regular, typical organic posts. We talked about video, both live and pre-recorded, and stories. So stories, both on Facebook and Instagram, they show up at the top of the browser, up at the very, very top of your Facebook or Instagram feed, and it's kind of like a day in the life of. It's a 24-hour kind of cycle of pictures. I liken it, for those of you who remember these, are those like little picture books that you kind of look through real fast or whatever. That's kind of what it's supposed to kind of be about, is you click really fast and you kind of see what somebody's experiencing or what a brand's experiencing for a certain amount of time. The reason you want to think about stories, and this is the thing you want to think about all this stuff that you kind of hear as time goes on, is, well, what does it mean for me? Well, I'll tell you what it means for you. As you can see on this little picture here, stories show up at the very, very top, and not a lot of brands are using them right now. So if you're sitting here struggling with engagement, and you keep posting these same old posts, try a story. When you go to a race day, or you've got something going on with your business, try a story for the day and see if you guys get more engagement that way. Some people primarily focus on stories to consume social content. They just like to be there. And, oh, yes, sorry.
I can actually say from personal experience that when I actually wake up in the morning, I go to stories and I don't even scrolling.
Okay, so there's a younger viewpoint, is that fair to say? Younger viewpoint of how they kind of navigate that content. And I'm the same way. I I actually go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like all about stories, and I'll just focus on that. And then sometimes I'll do the old school way of it's just easier, right? And there's just sort of a different experience. Now, going back to your original question, you can add video clips into your story as well, so there can be this unique kind of creation of content that creates images along with videos. So just imagine from a race day scene or whatever, there's a couple pictures of everybody getting there and, the team or whatever, and then all of a sudden it clips to a video, and it's like, we're about to go into race, and you're saying whatever you're about to say, and then it goes to a couple more images.
One of the things I've seen about stories myself, maybe it's just not being as familiar with it as I could be, is the fact that once they're gone, they're gone. Is that the case? Once you watch one, you can't go back and do it again.
Well, you can watch it over and over, but over 24 hours, it cycles out. But you can download now. They kind of changed that feature that you can download the images. So if you're creating a story, let's say, and you got these great photos and great video, and you're like, I don't want to lose this, you can bring it down and use it as sort of permanent content if you want as well.
It would go down and stay on your page.
You can make it do that, yes. Go ahead.
There's like a little button that like makes it stay on the page, and like you can create like a little story for that content and like title it and everything.
So if you want to make it more of a permanent story. So they started out with this whole like, once it's 24 hours and it's gone, but I think people gave it so much, and that's more of, I think, a Snapchat thing, and I think especially with Instagram and Facebook, it's a little bit, they're trying to let people do a little bit more of a permanent thing. Is that fair? So it's a phenomenal advantage to us as marketers because not a ton of people are using it right now. And it always stays at the top here. Keep that in mind. No matter you're navigating, you look up and it's always here. And you'll always see about 5 or 6 of them. And if you guys are doing them consistently, you'll see a spike in engagement simply because there's less of a crowd there than there is in the news feed. Everybody clear on that? There's less competition with stories than there is on the news feed. So be thinking about it with your overall content plan. Oh, and I just said, day in the life, behind the scenes is a great story opportunity. Race day, great story opportunity. Are you using stories back there for the?
I haven't, especially with it, I'm also a pet steward, so it gets a little hairy.
Gotcha. It's a busy day for you there. But maybe one of your team members or something. Okay. And you can put them in charge, by the way, of just doing stories. You can have multiple people inside the account, maybe one person's in charge of doing stories. Another best practice for you as you guys are creating this new compelling content that you're going to do in 2019 is using hashtags, which is very important. Not as important on Facebook, very important on Instagram, very important on Twitter, which we haven't talked much about, but on race day and events and things of that nature, Twitter shoots up really high on the priority list because that's how people kind of keep track of everything that's going on. But using hashtags will keep your content more engaging, okay? So topical, type of car, the part that you're showing off or whatever the case may be, that's the type, obviously, so if somebody's on Instagram and they're searching for that type of part or that type of car, your post can show up. Immediately, obviously, more engagement. Okay, so if you're using the right hashtags of people who are passionate about the stuff that you're talking about, they're gonna find your content. If you're not, they would have to follow you to see it. So that's one way to amplify your content. Using the event hashtag, the race event, that type of thing, whatever event you guys are posting about or are attending. Your own anchor hashtag, if you haven't learned anything yet, I'll give you your first piece of wisdom today is make sure that you're constantly using your own anchor hashtag, your branded hashtag, so that when someone else is posting about your part, about your car, about your race, about your business, they know to use your hashtag as well. That way you won't miss their content. Does that make sense? So that's why you see PRI show everywhere because they don't want to miss content. If I post something, they're not following me, but if I go on Twitter, which I did last night, and I post something, I use PRI show, they can see it. But if they don't constantly show that anchor all the time, we don't know to use it. Same thing with you and your brand. So whatever your anchor hashtag is, and if you don't have one, create one. Use it for the rest of time in everything that you do, and make sure you're encouraging others to use it as well. Anybody confused on what an anchor hashtag is? It's your own branded hashtag for your business or for your brand. Yes, sir. You just start using it. You know, as long as it's not, you know, obviously being used by someone else, 'cause that'll just confuse it. But it's just, you know, it's sort of like your own keyword for your brand. Yes?
When you're taking your hashtag, the first thing you want to do is go out and search for those words, that word combination to make sure it doesn't have a bad connotation.
Great point. Seen that the hard way. You run that about 10 different cars. So you can do it. I actually put allhashtag.com where you can see trending hashtags, and there's a bunch of searches where you can quickly do hashtag searches and see if it's X-rated. Yes?
I also noticed that if you just hashtag like really basic words like speed,
Yes. So yeah, that would be like kind of the last one I would say is like trending hashtags, like very popular hashtags. That kind of, you know, like you said, speed. Obviously, if it's around a very important race or big race day type of post. But and then yeah, at allhashtag.com, you can literally see at all times like the top 20, 30, 100 popular hashtags at that point. So, you know, you can mess with this a little bit. There are seasonal hashtags that become very popular, like around spring break time, or, you know, Olympics, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So if you can fit, huh? Pumpkin spice, thank you, yes, in the fall time, fantastic, yes. So if you can find a way to fit your content in some form or fashion into that, yes, you are going to, again, sprinkle a little bit of that amplified dust on your content. Good points. Keep them coming, too. So another best practice for you is if you don't have an advertising budget on Facebook, you're doing it wrong. So part of, you know, as you move into 2019 and you're thinking about creating compelling content on an ongoing basis, you have to have budget for it nowadays. It's really hard to do unless you're super popular and super sticky, and some of you may have that but most of us have to sprinkle the magic fairy money dust on our posts to get more engagement, okay? And that's by simply boosting the post. Now, obviously, there's Facebook ads and, you know, creating pure Facebook ads. I'm not going into that today. I'm purely talking about the content that you're producing on your page, whether it be Instagram or Facebook, and hitting that boost button. By raise of hand, how many of you are consistently boosting your content on Facebook and Instagram? Okay, about half of you. Okay. And give me a quick idea. I want people to hear it in the room monthly on about how much you're spending roughly on boosting posts. About $300. Good, good, good. Okay. Anybody else got a similar, different answer? 50? 100? About 50? Okay. Going once? I feel like I'm an auctioneer. This is fun. About 50. Yeah, good. So this is exactly where I would expect you to be. I was going to tell you around, you know, somewhere between $100 and $300 a month on sprinkling the magic fairy dust on the posts to boost them. So what exactly does that mean, boosting? It means that you are asking Facebook to show your post to more fans and more friends of their fans. That's what boosting means, okay, is to get more eyeballs, as somebody asked that, to people who are connected to your page, and then people who are one-off connected to your page, which would be friends of their fans and such. Some best practices to boosting: boost only the best. You know, don't boost just have a great Friday post. You know, that's not good bang for your buck. But you know, a big launch, big race day event, you know, something that's really meaningful. That's definitely one to boost. Wait for a bit. So after you boost it, after you post it, see what happens and see if it organically goes a little bit, gets a little bit more likes than the traditional post. That tells you it has a little bit of legs. You did a good job on that post. Now let's really get it going and amplify it by boosting it. But by boosting it right away and you kind of just maybe missed the mark a little bit on that one, or were off that day, you kind of wasted your money on that one because even boosting it didn't do much for it. Yes? So you're talking, that's okay. No, it works. It's just, It's Facebook advertising, which is just a little bit of a different topic than I'm talking about today, although I will mention it really quickly because it is important to your brand. That's essentially called remarketing, and there's some social listening going on with the coffee thing. Now I'm going to get a bunch of Facebook ads with coffee. Thanks a lot. But yes, there's definitely social listening happening. But there's also when somebody is checking out your website and things like that, it's called remarketing. And if you ever want to just, and this is just food for thought for you guys, if you're ever unclear on what remarketing is, just always remember spatula. When you go to Amazon and you search for a spatula and you go back to Facebook and that spatula follows you around everywhere, that's remarketing. Got it? You'll never forget it. You can do it too. So when somebody goes to your website, they look for a part, whatever the case may be, and they go to Facebook, and there's that little part hanging around there, that's called remarketing. It works all day long. And we do it for our brands all the time. It's fantastic. And you just put a little Facebook pixel on your website, and it's a top-of-mind advertising strategy. So absolutely, social listening, remarketing, lookalike audiences are all Facebook ads I'm definitely a big fan of, for sure. Okay, so, and then choose your audience wisely on your boosted post. So we talked about male, female, so you can ask only for the male audience to see that post, or female. You can narrow the age demographic, and you can pick the location. So if you happen to be in a certain area and you want people to know about that, you can choose that in your boosting as well. But make sure you have a boosting strategy for 2019 and beyond, okay?
I can tell you something
Yes, sir.
about boosting.
Okay.
Okay, year and a half ago, races I promoted, you could put out there, share to win a pair of tickets.
Share to win a pair of tickets.
You get a ton of reaction. Now, you put that out there, you get a tenth as much, simply because they're not going to advertise for you for free.
Right.
It's a business, they're trying to make money.
Right. So they wouldn't do, so you're saying, what's your point to everybody?
My point was, what you started off with, if you don't spend money,
Gotcha.
you're not going anywhere.
Yes. So in the early days, you could just post it out organically for free, and it would blast out everywhere. Now you got to spend some dough.
Now, you're just really wasting your money that you give away.
The tickets for.
But the tickets, you say, you'd not have been better off to spend the $40 boosted.
Got you. But spending 40, that's a great testimonial for boosting. Thank you. Okay, good. Another best practice for you is syndication. So this is, obviously I just asked you to spend a little bit of money, so I want to kind of give you guys a couple of things you can also do in addition to that to also amplify some of your posts. I call it internal engagement. What I mean by that is getting your people within your brand to also share and comment and like. You'll see this example in the book. You wonder why, like at weddings, when it comes to getting people on the dance floor, it's always challenging, especially guys. So what they do is first the bride and the groom come out, then the wedding party comes out, and that kind of gets everybody warmed up, and everybody goes on the dance floor. Similar to when you create a post. When you create a post, get some of your colleagues to share and comment and start the conversation. And then you'll get, it warms up people to get in there, right? So pre-populate. It's like cheating a little bit. Pre-populate comments and shares and likes and such by your own team, especially shares. Because then when somebody goes to it and they see 6 shares, like, oh, 6 shares, it kind of like amplifies it a little bit. So get your internal team working on the same team. Incentivize contests, you kind of just sort of highlighted that a little bit, but you guys have a lot of great giveaways and things of that nature. That helps from a starting an organic amplifying strategy is giving away some stuff for shares, likes, and so on. Cross-pollinate, what I mean by that is make sure your Facebook and Instagram pages are linked so that if you are working so hard on creating a really good Instagram story or whatever the case may be, that it can easily connect over to Facebook. Since they are sister and brother, they play very nicely together. And a lot of times what we will do is we'll do something on Facebook, like a Facebook Live. We'll download the video from Facebook Live, and then we'll add it to YouTube, or we'll put it on Twitter, or even LinkedIn sometimes. So you can still take that piece of content that you natively put on the right tool, which is Facebook, but then still get the benefit of posting it on other platforms to give it more legs. Does that make sense? Anybody doing that in here just to kind of amplify your content a little bit, right? Especially with YouTube. So one best practice for you is you're going to get more engagement doing native video on Facebook. So we've done a lot of tests. Shooting it directly to Facebook, shooting it to YouTube, and sharing it to Facebook. Which one do you think gets more engagement? The one natively to Facebook, right? Makes sense because obviously on Facebook. So what we do is we shoot it on Facebook, we get that great native engagement, then we download it, and then we permanently put it on YouTube for months to come. So we get the best of both worlds. But you good on that? It's kind of a ninja tip for you. Tell me if you have any questions. Yes?
Well, depending on what you're putting there, I mean, when you say natively put it on Facebook first, I mean, what if you have like a production type of video?
Then it's okay to put on. If you're the only reason it's important to natively put it on Facebook if you're looking for more engagement on Facebook was the point.
I get, yeah, I mean, kind of goes into a little bit of the question I wanted to ask you is something when you do post something on, you put a video on Facebook, I'm sorry, on YouTube, and
Yes.
you post it to Facebook. A lot of times, you know, if you watch it on Facebook, I see more engagement on Facebook, but I don't see the views, and I don't get that.
You don't. Yeah, you won't get the recognition on YouTube. Nope. Yes. Because they don't like each other. It's Google versus Facebook. So the question is why am I not seeing the engagement numbers on YouTube when they're watching on Facebook? Because they don't play nicely together. Never have, never will. Facebook versus Google.
I just want to comment on that. So usually if we do, say, a production video, is I will still take it directly to Facebook in addition to posting it on YouTube. So I think that more market matches, like you say, you can have people all
Taking a link and bringing it over.
right, and then if I'm tracking it, then I'll take the views that I see on Facebook and the views on YouTube.
So what he's basically saying, I completely agree, is he'll natively put it on both. And there's no problem with that. So if it's something that you are proud of and that you've invested some time, energy, money, and resources in, I'd put it in two of the biggest platforms in the world. I like a couple. Oh, and the other thing here is thank and respond. A lot of you guys, I checked you guys out, you're missing the easy boat here, and that's just reinforcing when people do comment, share, and like, you know, and especially on live videos and such, when people comment, you know why they're commenting, because they want to be heard. So make sure you acknowledge posts. Thank you for commenting. Hey, we see Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie, thank you for your question. Thanks for liking it. Thanks for putting a little heart, whatever the case may be. Make sure your team is thanking and responding on the engagement that you're already getting, because we won't engage again if we're not feeling like we're not being heard. Does that make sense? So make sure we do that as well. Okay, so these are some of the things I want you guys to think about, and I'm going to open it up for a few more questions. What can you commit to consistently in 19? So I mentioned the authentically social thing. The reason I really brought that to your attention is I want you to pick one thing. You know, she mentioned a great example of the behind the scenes with the drivers, you know, doing that weekly, every week for, you know, or whatever it is when it's race day for 2019. What's yours? What can you guys commit to in 19 that is you're going to be known for? That's the authentically social. Oh, they're the group that does blank. Oh, they're the team that does, oh, I love those. I've seen those before. That's what I'm going for. That's what I want. That's the win. Did I interrupt somebody? You got one? You want more interaction on Instagram? Are you spending money over there? That'll be helpful too, is to try to do it natively on Instagram, you know, as much to see if maybe your audience is just there. Make sure you're boosting over on Instagram as well. The hashtags become very important. I think maybe, you know, one of the things you may want to do is really play with those hashtags. Sounds like what she does is really, you can go after hashtags on Instagram. Okay, like 8 to 10 of them. Yeah.
How many would you recommend?
I like on Instagram, I like, you know, somewhere between like 7 to 10 is, you know, where I would say, you know, a good kind of number to be at. You know, Facebook, be careful with that because people don't like it as much. You can't do more than 31, he says. Then you lose the post. Yeah, so, you know, just keep in mind, Instagram is a visual social media site, so they don't like content very much, so, you know, don't overdo it.
Just a quick offshoot of that. You know, when I first started on Instagram, it was a question of, okay, well, do I go in and tag the people or the sites or whatever that we're trying to focus on, or do the hashtags? Which do you
Oh, good question. Tagging or hashtagging. I like them both, but just to be clear, when you're using a hashtag, it's like a key word, right? So it's like it's not anyone's property, essentially. When you're tagging a page of some kind, and that is a great thing to do. So I like both, for sure. Okay? Yeah. No problem.
It's a hot topic.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations as far as incorporating the hashtags and say the actual sentences you're using, or do you recommend, say, quick blurb about it and then just the hashtag?
Yeah, good question. So like using the sentences versus like the ones, the only time I recommend doing the sentences one is more almost like for humor purposes. So like almost kind of looks funny as you put it in there. But generally speaking, to summarize the post, I put them towards the bottom. You know, just it's kind of like, you may be a little young for this, but it's the card catalog in the library from back in the day. It's pretty much what essentially, so it's kind of towards the bottom and it's like categorizing the post. So what can you commit to consistently? What platforms will it work best on? Is it, an Instagram type strategy? Is it a Facebook Live? Is it a Snapchat strategy? Whatever the case. Who are the content creators? And again, I'm going to email you this slide. I want you guys to use this slide. I want to hear from you. I want to see what you're doing in 2019. I want to know that this session made a difference to your brand because of this slide right here. So I'm going to be checking on you guys. Those of you who did the text slides thing, I'm going to email you and ask you about this. Who are the content creators? What's the monthly budget to boost? And how are you going to measure success? What's your success metrics? Is it engagement, likes, shares, comments? Is it clicks to your website? Is it conversions? Is it, an opt-in strategy? Whatever the case may be. But you need to know that to see if whether or not it's working or not. It's okay if it's just engagement. It's great. But just be aware that that's the strategy. Because if the strategy is clicks and you don't have links to your website, well, then you're going to fail miserably. Okay, so be very aware of what your metrics are to see if whether or not you're being successful on it. And if it truly is conversions, then you can do things like having an opt-in form or, things of that nature. Okay? And last but not least, I end with a bonus best practice. This is for those of you who are shooting video outwardly, so this is at event day, things of that nature, off of your phone, I give you say no to vertical videos.
Meh.
This video didn't have to look this way. It could have been prevented. Say no to vertical videos.
Vertical videos happen when you hold your camera the wrong way. Your video will end up looking like crap.
There are more and more people addicted to making vertical videos every day. It's not crack or nothing, but it's still really bad. There are two different kinds of people who are afflicted with VVS. The first group treats the videos they shoot like pictures. They don't mean any harm. They just don't understand that while you can turn a picture, you can't really turn a video.
The other group is people who don't give a
Vertical video syndrome is dangerous. Motion pictures have always been horizontal. Televisions are horizontal. Computer screens are horizontal. People's eyes are horizontal. We aren't built to watch vertical videos.
I love vertical videos!
Nobody cares about you!
If this problem's left unchecked, YouTube will begin showing 4 videos at once, just to save bandwidth.
Letterboxed vertical videos would be the size of a postage stamp.
And it will spread everywhere. Movie screens have always been horizontal. If vertical videos become accepted, movie theaters will have to be tall and skinny.
And all the movie theaters would have to get torn down and rebuilt. And by the time they were rebuilt, Mina Coolitz would be old and ugly.
And birds will crash into them and die.
And we will all get stiff necks from looking up.
And no one will sit in the front row ever again.
And George Lucas will re-release Star Wars again. The skinny edition.
I was never really able to tell the story that I wanted to tell. This is a great chance for me to experiment with a new technology.
You're a jerk.
Every time a mobile device is used to record video, the temptation is there. Just say no. Say no to George Lucas. Say no to old Mila Kunis. Say no to vertical videos.
And if you see someone doing it, say, "You're not shooting that right, dummy!"
So if you want to share that video, you can go to YouTube and search Say No to Vertical Videos. Give those guys a shout out. Now, I will just be clear. The world is changing a little bit on this, so just FYI, there are reasons to go vertical. I'm not completely anti-vertical, but when you are shooting out, generally speaking, go horizontal. I want to end by just telling you there are copies of the book. If you'd like me to sign it, I'm happy to do that. I just want to make sure, I'll do it either in here or out there. And if the slides thing didn't work, I noticed a comment. I already saw it. For those of you who wasn't able to do that, just throw your business card up here, hand it to me, and I'll make sure you get the slide deck. So I want to thank you guys so much for having me again here at PRI, and enjoy the rest of the day, everybody. Thank you so much.